Hi, and this is week 4, day 5 of our January fitness challenge. Short videos all month long, and we are reaching the end. This is the end of the week, so that means that we have a nice restorative practice. We're going to do a 10 to 15 minute yin yoga practice. I suggest having a bolster and 1 or 2 yoga blocks for you. We're going to be fully supported today. If you don't have a bolster, maybe grab a nice fluffy pillow to have with you. We're going to start in child's pose. So if you're using a bolster, just widen the knees a little bit and you can bring the bolster back. We want to have it back far enough so that we can lower the chest down onto it and then perhaps lower the side of the face onto the bolster. And we're just going to start in a very restful pose here for the first minute or two. Relaxing into the hips. Feeling the muscles of our face relax. And just welcoming that peace and stillness as maybe we're closing out our day. Notice the longer we hold here, you maybe feel the hips soften. Perhaps you feel yourself melting a little bit further into the mat. And maybe you feel your breath start to lengthen. Maybe deepen a little further. And perhaps the quality of your breath starts to improve. When you're ready, we're going to slowly shift up off to our bolster. I know it can be hard to not stay there for a very long time, but we're going to come into a side body lean. And from here, we're going to extend that left leg out. Bring the sole of the right foot to reach the inside of that left inner thigh. And then from here, take 1, maybe 2 blocks over towards the left side. And we're just going to start to shift over, leaning towards the left side so that the forearm comes to rest onto the block. Keep the right hip glued onto the mat. And we're going to side body lean, maybe bring the gaze up to the sky. You could certainly bring the right arm up overhead. But as we're trying to rest and maybe relax for the evening, maybe this isn't the most comfortable for you, although you will feel a really great stretch underneath the right armpit and all the way down to the right hip. But you could also take that right hand and bring it to the left shoulder so it has something to hold on to. Maybe close the eyes. Giving yourself a day off in a way where you're not focused on burning and creating heat and all sorts of energy. Now we're working on creating stillness, but in a way still creating some energy in the body as we open throughout the large joints of the low body. And when you're ready, we're going to come up slowly, move slowly as we hold some of these poses for a length of time. And then we're going to draw the left foot in, extend the right leg out long. We're going to take that side body lean over to the right side. So take the left foot to the inside of the right inner thigh, move your block, transfer it over towards the right, maybe placing the right forearm down onto the mat. And then if you feel so moved, you could take the left arm up overhead or take the left hand to reach the right shoulder and just allow it to rest gently there. If it's too much on the neck, gazing upward at the sky, you could also allow the neck to remain neutral or just look down. But I really would like you to focus on keeping the left hip grounded. This class is going to move a little bit faster than other Yin Yoga classes that I teach on this channel, just because we are trying to keep it short and doable before bed or just any time during your day. When you're ready, we're going to come up to an upright position. And then we're going to bring the legs into a deer position. So the right shin will be parallel with the left side of your mat, and the left shin will be parallel with the bottom edge of your mat. Now, they don't need to be perfectly parallel. If it feels better for you to keep the shins bent in closer to your body, you can certainly have that. But we're going to stay in this deer pose, and we're going to take a little relaxing lean again over to the right. So we're going to build a little kind of a ramp with our bolster and one of our blocks. So have the block on the lowest position or middle position, whatever works for you, and then set up your bolster so that it creates a little ramp, and you can allow yourself to bring the chest down onto the bolster, and then maybe just allow the right side of the face to rest onto the back of the hands. Keep breathing and keep relaxing in this pose. You may feel like you want to tighten up in certain areas, but we're just going to hold here for about a minute. Allowing any stiffness or residual soreness from the day to start to evaporate from the hips and the low body. And if you're like, wow, this does really feel good, you could always play this video again and just do it back to back. When you're ready, let's go ahead and slowly shift upward. We're going to move into that position, but on the opposite side. So this time, let's take the left shin so that it's parallel to the front long edge of your mat. We're going to move our belongings so that they come over to the opposite side. You can move the legs and adjust the shin so it's parallel with the long edge, and then the right shin will be parallel with the back short edge. And let's make that little ramp for ourselves once more. When you're ready, lower down so that our chest can rest onto the bolster. This might feel quite different from one side to the other. Don't feel dismayed or make any judgment in any way. It's just something that we naturally have from one side to the other. And even this being a twist into the spine and the low back, you may notice that you may have some restriction on one side versus the other. So we are just getting a little spinal twist by having this lean over to the side. Use your hands and your upper body strength to help lift yourself back to an upright position. Just for a moment, I'm going to transfer my bolster and block to the side, and we're going to go ahead and open up into a wide-legged straddle, which of course can be intense for anybody at any time during the day. Feel free to keep the knees fully bent. And we're going to allow the back to round, and we're going to relax into our wide-legged straddle. Again, setting up a little ramp and support for ourselves. So allow a block to have the one edge of your bolster propped up a little bit higher. And then as you start to lean forward with the chest, you can just give the bolster a great big hug, or if you're using a nice big pillow, you can use that as well. Allow yourself to relax into your straddle. Opening up into the hips and the low back and the hamstrings especially. There's a challenge to having the stillness within our bodies and our minds as we hold in these practices. And just know that wherever you're at, whatever shape you're choosing, you're making really wonderful decisions for yourself, for your health, your body, and your mind. Let's slowly lift ourselves back up. Bring the bolster to the front of the mat. We can take the block and allow it to just set to the side for now. And at the top of the mat, we're going to shift onto our hands and knees. Maybe bring the bolster back to about a foot or foot and a half away from the top edge of the mat. And then we're going to shift down onto our hips and onto our belly for Sphinx pose. And this may take a little adjustment with your bolster, but we want the bolster to be underneath the ribs. So it's supporting us in our Sphinx. So we're using the shape and the angle of our bolster instead of our upper body weight. The elbows can be in front of the bolster. And just using that to lift our lower rib cage just off of the mat slightly. And you can allow the eyes to close. Again, the elbows just in front of the bolster. Allow the feet to come out a little slightly wider than hip width distance, so you have nice room for the low back to relax. Deep breath in and out in our Sphinx pose. This is our final pose before we come into Shavasana for this evening Yin Yoga sequence. Traveling through these poses. Even though this is a short and almost expedited version of a Yin Yoga class, it still has so much quality to the shapes of the movement, the quality of the breath. Remember taking the time for yourself, whether it's 10 minutes or 50 minutes. If you have a goal and you have an actual end game, the point that you want to reach, within that time frame, it can all be quality movement. And hopefully with this JanYOUary challenge, these practices are keeping you in a well-rounded practice, both physically and mentally, throughout the month. When you're ready to come out of your Sphinx pose, you can draw the forearms up onto the bolster, shift the hips back. And then we're going to take a child's pose to close out the practice. You can allow the arms to come out long. Option for you to take a wide-legged child's pose or a narrow-legged with the knees drawn in. And from here, we're just going to take a few breaths as we close out the week, nearing the end of our challenge. Take a few deep breaths here. Maybe you're settling in for the day. Make those breaths count. I know that you will sleep better after having some gentle movement within the body. And if anything, it did bring some peace to your mind and your well-being today. If you're ready, you can start to walk the hands in and start to sit the torso on top of the heels. And let's inhale the hands up to the sky. Stretch, reach the fingertips up to the sky, and then place the palms gently together, and we'll draw them down through heart center to close our practice. And ending the week again in thanks and gratitude for you to show up on your mats. Hit subscribe. Make sure you get notifications. For this month, we have 2 more practices. We're ending out the 5th week in January with 2 vinyasa flows, which will be a little bit longer, about 20 to 25 minutes, but still short enough to fit in your day and to feel pretty active. So I hope you enjoy it. Hit the like button if you enjoyed these. Thanks for joining me on this challenge, and have a great day. Make it a good one. Bye.